Hey everybody, we're Mimi and the Pod Brothers. I'm the lead vocalist. This is the pianist, bass player, and they both arrange all the music that you guys hear.
We really do try to bring sort of the joy in all of the songs that we do out of, whether it's from the jazz tradition or a pop song.
One of the ways we kind of frame the material that we choose and how we decide to play it is this idea of expanding the American songbook a little bit. What we do is try to, move that boundary of 40s and 50s into a little bit later too, in songs that we now think of in this day as classic songs or well-known songs or just interesting songs, and kind of pull them into that tradition of rearranging and reimagining in that same way.
Yeah, it's a cover band, but where if you wanted to hear the original version of the song, you'll be disappointed.
How we met, they've known each other since birth.
Well, before birth, actually.
Before birth, their souls, they met and they decided they were going to be twins.
We were woo-mates, if you will.
Woo-mates.
Oh, God.
Matt and I met through an old friend, and yeah.
Yeah, I was coming back to Brooklyn to meet my friend Diana's friends, and Mimi was one of them, and then we immediately latched on to each other, made music since then. She came to the college that I was at a year later, and then we have been pretty constant collaborators ever since.
Yeah.
When we choose repertoire, Mimi's voice has such a weight and a power to it that you had to think of the arrangement as something that can match it. We're not a cocktail band, and there's a lot of jazz musicians that sort of play more background sounding music, or they sort of blend in with the...
Or more period, it's sounds like music from the 30s, and trying to preserve the sound of the 30s, not just songs from the 30s.
Yeah. And so we really do think about Mimi's voice is an instrument that's not just, any old singer will do. And so when we're coming up with the arrangements, the arrangement has to sort of match in power to our dynamic songstress here. So the tune that I'm most happy with my arrangement of is I Could Have Danced All Night, and that was very inspired by sort of a Louis Prima sound with that, the saxophone player just leans into that kind of jazz leaning into rock and roll, where that transition started happening. And it just has all this driving energy and sort of a infectious joy to it that comes from the way we feel when we're making music together, and just putting that into the arrangement itself.
Hey y'all, I'm Julian Evans.
And I'm Scott MacDonald.
And we're with AudioWorks NYC, today in Dumbo at Winkle Studios, recording Mimi and the Pod Brothers. So obviously, if you've joined us before on this channel, you've noticed that we've done a lot of sort of larger band gigs, maybe 4 or 5, 6 people sometimes, and each time we do those, we've relied on in-ear monitors for monitoring. Now, today, with Mimi and Pod Brothers, we decided not to go that route. The reasoning and thinking behind that being that these are jazz musicians, and there is an expectation that these musicians will be able to hear each other across the room and have that communication. And I think that that's also portrayed in the production style and production design. So today, as part of our audio microphone package, we've got deployed 5 different Neumann microphones. We've got 4 different KM184 microphones and 1 U87. The KM184s, you've probably seen me use a few times before. I love them for drum overheads. They've got a very flat frequency response. I'm also using them in a space pair configuration for the piano.
Because we weren't amplifying anything in the room, really the only thing that we would have wanted a little bit more of was probably the upright bass.
Absolutely.
Because Mimi's vocals are so strong and having the lid closed definitely also helped in not having the piano overpower the sound in the room.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, so the U87 microphone, a large diaphragm tube condenser microphone that we had on Mimi's vocals, I was a little tentative coming in that it might just be a little bit too wide of a pickup pattern, that we might be catching too much of the rest of the band in that microphone. But it really, it worked fantastic. That microphone sounds great on her voice. That's a classic microphone that you've heard hundreds of thousands of times on just like everything. You know, like Scott said, she, you know, girl can sing. You know, microphone did not have any trouble getting her.
For the upright bass, we actually started off with AKG 414 to spot mic it, but found out once we were, you know, started running some music that we wanted to get a cleaner signal, so we actually switched over to the pickup on the bass and ran it through an active DI, and just felt that, you know, because the bass is really driving the low end for this group, right? It's the kick drum, it's a jazz set, so you're really not relying on the kick drum to feel the beat, you're actually really kind of relying on the bass. We wanted to have a real strong signal from him.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention, I usually will throw a microphone on a bass that's playing arco, but since this is all pizzicato, I mean, pickups on bass pits sounds better than a microphone typically anyway. So it was good today coming with a few different options.
Yeah, and we certainly don't have to worry about a lot of, you know, string noise with
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
hits. Yeah.
Cutting down on microphone bleed, you know, using DI sources to plug in is just, you know, one of many great ways to just clean up your signals coming into your post mix.
Yeah, you know, kind of makes your work easy for yourself before you even sit down to start.
Well, that's all we got for today. Thanks for taking the time to watch and get a little bit of behind the scenes footage. And again, I'm Julian Evans. Have a safe and happy holidays, and we'll catch you next time with Adorama Amplified.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We are Mimi and the Pod Brothers.
Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Adorama Music.
Check out the rest of our songs and the other stuff on the channel during this holiday season.